February 2025 is shaping up to be quite the weather roller coaster. We're starting off mild, but brace yourselves. Mid month, a new polar express is on the horizon for the United States and Canada. The battle between warmth and cold has been intense, but the real action is just around the corner. Low pressure systems over Canada are pulling in Arctic air, and the polar vortex in the stratosphere is about to make its presence felt. This means we could see another deep freeze sweeping across the continent. January has already shown us extremes, with record-breaking cold in the United States, while Canada enjoyed warmer than normal temperatures. As we close out January, the pressure patterns reveal a broad low over Canada and a small anomaly in the south, hinting at that warmer air mass rising in the east. It's a dynamic setup, and February promises to keep us on our toes with its wild swings in temperature. Stay tuned, this month is just getting started. As we approach the final week of February, we're wrapping up the meteorological winter season. This month marks the end of the coldest 3 months. December, January, and February. Interestingly, this week the forecast doesn't show a clear trend for low pressure areas. The signals are a bit weak, but we can still spot some patterns. Cold air is firmly in place over the western United States, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast, while a warmer air anomaly is pushing up from the south and southeast. If we look at the surface pressure anomaly, we can see a broad, low pressure area stretching from Canada down into the Midwest. This confirms a northerly flow in the west and hints at a chilly air mass lingering over the upper Midwest and Northeast. It's a fascinating transition as we bid farewell to winter and look forward to the changes spring will bring. As we dive into the weather trends for the second half of February, the extended range ensemble forecasts reveal some intriguing patterns. In week 3, we see a low-pressure area retreating to the north and northwest, establishing a persistent northerly flow across the northwestern and northern United States. This setup allows cold air to spill into the northern and east-central regions, while the southeastern ridge plays a crucial role in how far south that chill reaches. The surface temperature forecast clearly shows a cold air mass dominating the northern and central U.S., with the exception of the far south. Meanwhile, southwestern Canada is also feeling the bite of winter. When we look at the Jeffs model from the NCEP, it confirms this cold air anomaly, but interestingly, it suggests that the chill is seeping deeper into the central and southern plains, while the far eastern U.S. remains relatively milder. It's a fascinating interplay of pressure systems and air masses that will shape our weather in the coming weeks. The robust ensemble snow forecast for the second week of February indicates significant snowfall over the western elevations of the United States. We're also seeing an uptick in snowfall potential across the northeastern United States and southeastern Canada, aligning with previous models. The first half of February is shaping up to be colder than normal for the northern United States and southern Canada, with promising snowfall, especially in the Pacific Northwest and the eastern regions. Meanwhile, the southern United States is likely to experience high-pressure ridging, leading to above normal temperatures and less precipitation. This cold air is being funneled down by a lobe of the polar vortex, often referred to as the Polar Express. The stratospheric forecast shows one core of the polar vortex moving into North America, which could trigger another wave of frigid air. The single-run model highlights the greatest snowfall potential in the eastern and northeastern United States, southeastern Canada, and the western elevations, with the central and northern plains also in the mix. However, keep in mind that while this model offers better resolution, its accuracy may wane beyond the 10-day mark. As we dive into the second week of February, we're witnessing a significant shift in the weather pattern. A dominant low-pressure system is settling over the upper Midwest and south-central Canada, marking a departure from the usual two-system setup. This change is crucial, as it opens the door for a deeper northerly flow of cold air sweeping into the northern and eastern United States. The temperature forecast is painting a stark picture, with a notable negative anomaly stretching across the northern, central, and eastern United States. even dipping into southwestern Canada. This signals yet another cross-country cold event on the horizon. Meanwhile, the southeastern United States is holding on to a warmer than normal air mass, thanks to a persistent high-pressure ridge. Looking at the ECMWF operational forecast, it suggests that around Valentine's Day, a frigid air mass will engulf the northern, central, and eastern regions of the United States and Canada. So, while some areas are bracing for a chill, the southeast will continue to bask in warmer temperatures. It's a classic case of winter's contrasting moods. The connection of the cold air mass stretches all the way back to the polar circle, where the Arctic's influence is felt. This northern flow, often dubbed the Polar Express, was particularly intense in mid-January, plunging us into record low temperatures. The latest 6 to 10-day temperature outlook reveals a stark separation. Frigid air dominates the northern half of the United States, while a ridge allows milder conditions to settle in the south and southwest. Looking at the single-day forecast for mid-next week, we see a significant cold air anomaly sweeping from the Pacific Northwest into the northern United States and southern Canada, extending all the way to eastern Canada. Meanwhile, warmer air lingers in the southern regions. Snowfall predictions mirror this pattern, with heavy snow expected in the northwestern United States and the northeastern corridor, creating a continuous belt of snow across the northern states and southern Canada. The weather is certainly keeping us on our toes. As we dive into the first week of February, the pressure anomalies reveal a familiar pattern. We see two low-pressure areas, one hovering over eastern Canada and the other in the Pacific Northwest. Meanwhile, a ridge is building over the southern and eastern United States, creating a fascinating weather dynamic. The double northerly flow is particularly intriguing, with one current sweeping through the Pacific Northwest and another extending from southeastern Canada into the northeast. Looking at the surface temperature anomalies, it's clear that a significant supply of colder air is poised over the northern United States and western Canada, while eastern Canada and the northeast brace for cooler conditions. In contrast, the central and southern United States are set to experience above normal temperatures. This stark division often aligns with the jet stream, acting as a barrier between warm and cold air masses. At the 850 macro lead level, we can visualize the separation more clearly. Next Tuesday will showcase the cold air mass spilling from Canada into the northern and northeastern states, highlighting the ongoing battle between these contrasting temperatures. It's a captivating glimpse into the complexities of our winter weather patterns. The southern United States is bracing for severe weather, driven by a low-pressure system that's stirring things up. As this system moves, it interacts with a warmer air mass and increased wind shear, creating the perfect recipe for storms. This dynamic is all part of what we call Rossby waves, these pairs of pressure systems that influence our weather patterns. Take a look at the jet stream, that purple line connecting these pressure systems. It's a rapid river of air, soaring 9 to 14 kilometers above sea level, guiding the movement of cold and warm air masses. This month, we've captured a high-resolution video showcasing how polar air masses are transported down from the north, almost like a cold highway. It's fascinating to see how these Rossby waves and the jet stream work together, shaping the weather we experience every day. This setup creates a fascinating airflow pattern over North America. We have a southerly wind sweeping across the eastern and central United States, while the southwestern United States experiences a northerly flow. A cold air corridor stretches from western Canada to the northeastern United States, showcasing a stark temperature contrast. The temperature forecast reveals a warmer than usual air mass moving into southern Canada, but don't be fooled. Average temperatures in the northern United States and southern Canada are still hovering around freezing. Even a positive anomaly doesn't guarantee warmth in January. It's intriguing to observe how quickly temperature anomalies shift as pressure systems change. As for snowfall, expect limited accumulation in late January, primarily in the higher elevations of the Pacific Northwest and southern Rockies. Southern Canada will see some snowfall. particularly with lake effect snow around the Great Lakes and a bit of action in the Northeast. It's a dynamic weather pattern that keeps us on our toes. February 2025 is shaping up to be quite the roller coaster for weather across the United States and Canada. We kick off the month with a mild start, but don't get too comfortable. Mid-February is when things get interesting, as we see the return of the polar vortex. This means a significant cold snap is on the horizon, often dubbed the Polar Express. The driving force behind this chill? Persistent low-pressure systems over Canada pushing that frigid Arctic air southward. Plus, the stratospheric polar vortex is adding to the drama, suggesting we can be fairly confident about this mid-month cold wave. So, while we enjoy the mild beginnings, keep your winter gear handy. February is about to turn icy. February 2025 is shaping up to be quite the roller coaster for the United States and Canada. We're kicking off the month with a mild start, but don't get too comfortable. Mid-month is when things get interesting. A new polar express is on the horizon, driven by the relentless tug-of-war between warm and cold air masses. The low-pressure systems hovering over Canada are acting like a gateway, funneling Arctic air southward. This is all thanks to the polar vortex in the stratosphere, which is stirring things up. As we approach mid-February, we can expect a significant shift as the core of the polar vortex moves, setting the stage for a deep freeze. Prepare for a dramatic drop in temperatures as this cold air sweeps across the continent. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild month. As January wraps up, it's fascinating to see how the temperature data reveals a stark contrast across North America. While the entire United States has been experiencing colder than normal temperatures, except for California and parts of Nevada, Canada has been enjoying a surprising warmth. This pattern is intriguing. As frigid air pushed southward, it was replaced by a high-pressure system, bringing milder conditions to our northern neighbors. Looking at the pressure patterns, we see a broad low over Canada and a smaller one in the southern United States, creating a unique airflow. This results in a southerly wind across the eastern and central states, while the southwest feels a chill. The temperature forecast shows a warm air mass moving into the eastern United States and southern Canada, contrasted by a cool anomaly in the southwest. It's remarkable how these weather dynamics create such varied experiences across the continent, reminding us of the complexity of our climate.